Welcome to the Man of Recaps. Walking Dead Season 2 starts with the group leaving the Atlanta area. They find themselves in a little traffic jam. Now, short-haired girl Carol's got this daughter, Sophia, and when a walking herd of zombies shows up, they all hide under the cars to hide, but Sophia's not so lucky. She gets spotted, so she has to run away. Rick does go. He finds her, though, and he's like, hey, you stay here. I'm going to go lead the zombies away, so he does that. He takes care of business, but when he gets back, Sophia's gone. So Daryl's like a good tracker, so they go tracking her. They find this one zombie who ate something recently, so they check its stomach. They decide, though, that it's just like a squirrel or something. So the search party continues. They find this like church where Shane talks to Laurie, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry I tried to kiss you last season, but I mean, I still do want to bang you. Anyway, they find this deer, and Carl gets shot. What? It's a hunting accident. Oh, and this hunter's like, oh man, we got a house over there. So they go to this farmhouse where Herschel lives, and luckily he's a doctor, a veterinarian, but that's close enough anyway. Back on the highway, T-Dog had cut himself, so he's got some blood poisoning now, needs antibiotics. Luckily, Daryl's brother Merle, the guy who got left on the roof, he had a bunch of chlamydia meds, and I guess those work just as well. Anyway, they need more medical stuff for Carl's operation, so they send Shane and the hunter down to the school to get some, but it's overrun by zombies. They manage to sneak in and get some medical stuff, but on the way out they're being chased, and Shane's like, sorry bro, shoots him in the leg. What? Cold-blooded Shane. He makes his escape while the zombies are eating him, and he gets back, he's like, yeah, that other guy didn't make it, it was an accident, and then he shaves his head to reflect his new badass style. So they do the operation, and it goes fine, the kid survives, he gets a hat now. The rest of the group comes up to the farm, and the guy's like, look, you can't only stay here for a little bit, like I can't host all of you, but then Rick makes an impassioned speech about letting him stay, and he agrees to let him stay. They go to the well to get some water, but it's like, no, don't drink that water, there's a zombie in the well. So they send Asian kid Glenn down to go get him out, but it is a mishap and he almost dies, but he's fine. But when they pull the zombie out, gross, the well's definitely contaminated now. So Farmer Herschel's got this hot daughter, Maggie, and she and Glenn go into town to get some stuff. Laurie gave Glenn a special mission to pick up a pregnancy test, scandalous, and he tries to hide it when he catches her. He's like, oh, I was just getting some condoms, and she's like, oh, I like a man who's forward, let's get it on. So Laurie takes the pregnancy test. Yes, she is pregnant. It's awkward because she was hooking up with Shane before, but she's been hooking up with Rick since, so she doesn't know whose the baby is. So she takes some Plan B pills, but then she can't go through with it. She throws them up, and she's like, hey, Rick, look, I'm pregnant. Also, I was hooking up with Shane while I thought you were dead. And he's like, well, I guess I understand, I was dead. Anyway, the search continues for Sophia. They leave this note on the car and stuff, and they're looking around. Daryl finds her doll at one point, and he also falls off his horse like an idiot and gets stabbed by one of his own arrows. Anyway, he's fine though. He pulls some Rambo stuff and he's okay. But when he comes back, he's all dirty, sort of looks like a zombie, so they shoot him. Andrea is up on the roof there, and luckily she's a bad shot. She just grazed him. He's okay. It's like, okay, everyone gets some gun safety lessons and also some accuracy lessons. Andrea's pretty good, so Shane takes her for the advanced course, but she can't hit a moving target. But later she's out with him, and she manages to do it, and so she's like, oh man, that actually turns me on. So she and Shane hook up. Speaking of hooking up, Maggie's like, hey Glenn, let's get it on later. He's like, yeah girl, meet me in the barn after dark, but unfortunately it's infested with zombies. What? She's like, yeah, the barn's actually a really bad place. So Glenn tells the group that Herschel's hiding zombies in his barn, which makes Maggie mad because he couldn't keep her secret, but she forgives him in like 5 seconds. Now the rest of the group wants to go in and kill the zombies, but Rick's like, hold on, let me talk to Herschel, this is his house, and Herschel's like, yeah, these people are just sick, I'll take care of them, I like to go find them in the river and bring them back so, eventually we can cure them. Shane wants to kill the zombies anyway because he believes security is most important, and Rick's like, no, we should respect our host wishes, and this old guy's like, yo, Shane, I don't trust you at all, so he goes to hide the guns in the woods, but Shane tracks him down, and he's like, hey, old man, give me these guns. They have sort of a standoff, but he's like, what, you're gonna shoot me? It's like, no, I'm not gonna shoot you, Shane. So Shane's like, all right, I've got the guns, we're killing the zombies, and these two get back just then with some new ones, and Shane's like, nope, this is not happening, we're gonna just kill him. He opens up the barn, and they shoot them all down, and Sophia's in there too. She was a zombie this whole time, and that makes her mom really sad, and Rick's like, well, I guess we gotta put her down. Boom. Herschel's super sad because some of the zombies were his family and friends, and he remembers he has a drinking problem. He goes down to the bar in town, and Rick has to come and get him. But then these two random guys from Philly show up, and they're real cool for a few minutes, but as tends to happen, things get awkward, and they have to have a shootout. Rick is the best, though, so he wins. And then their friends come, and it's like, hey, I'm sorry we had to kill your friends. So they start shooting at them, too. This one kid was on the roof, but he, hurts his leg on the way down, so his friends leave him behind. Rick's like, hey, we can't just leave you here. We're gonna catch your leg off the thing and bring you home. So they bring him home, they fix his leg, they decide they're gonna drive him out somewhere and leave him because they can't, trust him to be in their group. But then he's like, yo, guys, honestly, if you leave me here, you're just killing me. And Shane's like, yeah, you're right. We should just shoot you in the head right now. And Rick's like, no, we've already talked about this. Now Shane's still been hitting on Laurie every chance he gets, and Rick had to be like, yo, bro, stop hitting on my wife. So finally the emotions bubble up, and these two fight it out. But then some zombies come, and Rick pulls Gimli from Lord of the Rings, where they all fall on top of him. And then Shane runs into the school bus, but he's trapped in there. He's totally dead. And this kid's like, yo, Rick, let's just leave him. And Rick's like, fine, we'll get out of here. And Shane's like, no, Rick, you were my best friend. But then Rick comes back to save him. He shoots the zombies, and he grabs him, and they get out of there. Rick's like, okay, we fought it out, man. We cool now? And Shane's like, yeah, we're cool. Meanwhile, Herschel's got another hot daughter named Beth, and she's super depressed, so she tries to kill herself. Luckily, her sister finds her in time, and she, talks her into staying alive. Anyway, Rick's like, yeah, Shane's right. We probably got to kill this kid for our own safety. And this old dude's like, hey, let's at least have a vote on it. So they have a little vote, and the old dude makes an impassioned speech about retaining the morality, but it falls on deaf ears. Everyone's like, yeah, let's just kill him. And so they're about to do it, but then Carl walks in. He's like, yeah, do it, Dad. And Rick's like, oh, man, I can't kill him in front of my son. So it's like, hey, we're not going to kill him. Let's tell the old dude the good news. But old dude finds a zombie, and he gets attacked. He's totally dead. So Shane grows up to the prisoner and he releases him. He's like, I'm sick of this group. Bring me to your group of badass dudes. And the kid's like, oh yeah, that'll be cool. You can join us. It'll be fun. But then he goes behind the tree and snaps his neck. He smashes his face against the tree to make it look like they had a fight. He goes back. It's like, oh, prisoner escaped. So they go to find him. They decide to split up. These two find the prisoner, turn into a zombie, so they take him out. But it's like, he has no bites. That's weird. Shane brings Rick into this field in the middle of nowhere. And Rick's like, we're about to have an old-fashioned duel, aren't we? But Rick's like, yo, bro, you were my best friend. I'm not going to shoot you. I'm going to stab you. Oh, yeah, he has to take out Shane. And he's like, you were my best friend. Why'd you make me do this? So Shane is dead. And then just then Carl comes, super awkwardly, and Shane comes back to life. What? So Carl has to take him out. It's like he wasn't bit either. What's going on? And unfortunately, a herd of zombies was nearby. They hear the shot, so they're coming down to the farm. They're running around with guns now, shooting them. And Rick and Carl have to hide in the barn. They, load it up with gasoline and drop the match. They burn all these zombies. Yeah, take that. Meanwhile, Blonde Daughter's mom gets eaten by zombies, and her boyfriend gets eaten too. Sucks for her. And Herschel's like, oh, this is my farm. I'm gonna go down with the ship. But then Rick's like, no, that's crazy. Come on with us. And the farm is totally overrun. Andrea gets left behind, though, so she has to fend for herself. She's doing okay for a while, until eventually she's not. But then, Slice! What? A katana with the... She's got zombies chained to her. Who is this badass person? The rest of the group meets up back on the highway. Daryl's like, hey, that guy back there didn't have a bite, but he turned anyway. What's going on? Rick has to share the secret that he's kept since the doctor at the CDC told him in season 1. Everyone's infected. Doesn't matter if you get bit or not, you still turn into a zombie when you die. So that's bad news. So the group's all arguing about what to do next, and Rick's like, hey, you know what? Get out of here if you want, but if you're staying, this isn't a democracy anymore. It's a Ricktatorship. And everyone seems generally okay with that. And then it pans out there's a prison nearby, and that's how season 2 comes to an end.